Hey everyone, this is Pete, and welcome back to Atari A to Z Flashback, a series of explorations of the 150 games that make up Atari Flashback Classics for Nintendo Switch. Today's game is Dark Cavern. This was a 1982 release for Atari 2600, and it was released on Mattel's M Network. This, if you're not familiar, was a label where Mattel mostly ported games from their Intellivision system to Atari 2600. Now, because the Intellivision was a little bit more capable than the Atari 2600, particularly in terms of graphics, these games often got simplified a little bit in the porting process to Atari 2600, and sometimes even got renamed completely. So in fact, Dark Cavern was originally released as an Intellivision game called Night Stalker. But yeah, it's mostly the same game. You can quite feasibly look at this game as a very early precursor to what we now know today as survival horror gameplay, because there's a strong emphasis on sort of controlling a vulnerable character, avoiding quite powerful enemies, and making use of very limited resources to try and survive for as long as possible. So it's quite an interesting game, if very simple. So let's go play Dark Cavern.
Okay, here we are once again with Atari Flashback Classics on Nintendo Switch, and I'm once again joined by my cat Patty, who wants some attention. So if you hear any strange meowing in the background, that is what is happening. Anyway, today we're looking at Dark Cavern from Mattel's M Network. So let's have a look at the manual. So, the object of the game is to avoid the blobs, spiders and robots and destroy as many of them as you can! 3 exclamation marks, like my mother uses in emails. Your man, doesn't have a name, he's just your man, is trapped in the cavern. There's nowhere to hide. Escape the creature's bites and keep away from robot fire. Shoot to destroy, rack up points. It's a bitter fight to the end. One thing I will say for M Network is they did a good job of sort of injecting some excitement into their descriptions on the front of their manuals. And in the manual themselves, for that matter. It's a battle for survival in an underground cavern. You have 5 men. They enter the cavern one at a time through the center trapdoor. Once inside, blobs, spiders and robots begin to enter the left and right doors. Neither the creatures nor the man can exit through these doors. Direct your man down the tunnels. Pick up ammunition as you go. Keep clear of the creatures, avoid robot fire. Shoot to destroy. Get hit by a robot's bullet. That's not what happens. Action stops. Now bring out your next man. Get them before they get you. Your man starts with 20 bullets. Every few seconds a gun flashes on the screen. Land on it before it disappears and you get 10 more bullets. Shoot at any of the nasty cavern creatures and you use up 1 bullet. Watch out for the blob. Run into him and he steals your bullets. And that's about it, I think. Okay, so spiders can't kill you, but they're also not worth any points. Blobs aren't worth any points either. They steal your bullets. So it's just the robots that are worth points. Alright, let's do it. I think I might be halfway through a game, so let's just reset that. And there's no game select in this one, so you just play. And you can set the difficulty with the difficulty switches as well. And that affects what robots appear at the start of the game, I believe. So, let's begin. Here is my man. Can the console go away, please? There we go. Thank you very much. Right. So, playing this game is a matter of understanding how these various robots work. And destroying them. And that's about it. So, for example, those pink robots there, those will shoot at you. Apparently the orange ones will also. And so you need to figure out the ways that you can avoid their attacks, not get shot, and score yourself some points. Uh-oh. They seem to change colour as well. I think that's to do with how many there are on screen at once. Alright, let's try that again. Alright, so we start with an orange robot that turns pink when there's 2 on the screen. And they shoot at you when they're facing you. Yeah, so if you look, the one that's facing left, it doesn't shoot at us. So if you can get in behind them... I guess that's the strategy you need to use. It's that, or fire a shot and quickly dart around the corner. Oh, I know what the why they're changing colour, because they're worth different amounts of points based on what colour they are. They don't necessarily behave differently. So, for example, I wasn't actually paying attention there to see how many points we got for that. But let's shoot one of these pink ones. We get 1,000 points for a pink one, and we get 2,000 points for an orange one. So basically you get more points for clearing the screen. And you'll notice there's lots of audible cues in this game as well, which is quite nice. So the sort of weird kind of engine noise that's going on in the background, that relates to how many robots are on the screen. So the more robots are on the screen, the higher pitch that sound will be. And you can also hear that there's a sound when the gun is on screen as well, so you know when there's weaponry available because it's making a distinctive sound. Right, so now we can have a maximum of 3 robots on the screen at once, so that means that orange has gone up to when there's 2 on the screen. So we still only get 1,000 points when they're pink, 2,000 when they're orange, but we'll get even more when they're green. So as the game progresses, your scoring potential goes up. Because the maximum number of robots on screen will increase. And in that way the difficulty gradually escalates. But also, so do your rewards. There's actually quite a lot of interesting things about this game. Whether they were sort of intentional or not is a matter of opinion, but like I say, you can look at this as an early example of survival horror in some ways, because it's all to do with managing limited resources, having a very vulnerable protagonist, and understanding how to deal with very powerful enemies. There's also an argument to be made that there's sort of early examples of cover shooting in this. So being able to fire a weapon and duck behind a corner and that sort of thing. Or not, as I'm demonstrating there. Let's see if we can find out how many points a green one is worth. Oh, I didn't see. But more. I would assume 4,000. Or maybe 3,000. I don't know. Let's see if I can actually watch the score while it's happening this time. Yeah, 3,000. 3,000 points for a green one. So presumably when we get to a point when there's 4 robots on screen maximum, there'll be something that's worth 4,000 points. Oh, the pitch is definitely going up now. The speed is increasing. Yeah, the overall speed of the game is going up, as well as the number of robots increasing. That's interesting. 26,000 points, not bad. Again, as with most 2600 games, there's no high score facility in this, so you just have to write things down for yourself. Alright, let's try again. It's interesting that they decided to give you multiples of 1,000 points in this, because nothing is worth less than 1,000 in this. And so they could have just as easily given you 1 point for one thing, 2 points for another thing, 3 points for another thing. That's what the spider does, by the way. It paralyzes you for a few seconds so you can't move. But I guess sort of going up in 1,000 just gave it a bit more of an arcadey feel. That was quite common practice. If you played any of like Sega's games from the kind of 16-bit era, stuff like Outrun and Afterburner and that, the scores you attained in those games are absolutely ludicrous. Because it was more satisfying. So why have a game where you can score 3 points when you can have a game where you can score 52 million points? No! Oh, you really need to duck around a corner because you cannot outrun those bullets. Which makes a certain amount of sense, doesn't it? But... oh, you also die if you walk into a robot, even if you walk into it while it is dying. That is worth remembering. This is actually pretty good. I mean, obviously it's incredibly simplistic. But there's a lot to like here in terms of mechanics and execution. And for the time, this would have been a very distinctive experience compared to a lot of other sort of arcade shooters. It's even distinct from sort of classic arcade games from the time, like Berserk and Robotron, which is probably what it would have been most readily compared to. I forget what year exactly those came out, but it would have certainly been around a similar time to this, and this is a very distinct experience to those. It might have been nice to have some more different... oh, I see the green ones. The green ones could see you from both sides. Interesting. One more try. Yeah, so the top bit of the robot shows which way they're facing. And you may have noticed the green one there was quickly moving back and forth between different directions. So he could see you from either way. Oh, no. Don't steal my bullets, Mr. Blob. Pick you up from there. Patty has joined us again. She is now headbutting the microphone stand because that now belongs to her, apparently. How you doing, Patty? You alright? You're not talking today. I'm just going to rub your face on my hand. Okay. That's fine by me. You're soft. You're not very conducive to getting high scores, though. I have to say. Oh, no! You're very distracting. I'm going to have one more go, because I feel like cat interruption probably made that a suboptimal playthrough. Let's give it another try. Yeah, I like this. There's a nice sort of tactical feel to it, which is very unlike anything else I've played on the platform. Can you not claw my chest, please? Thank you. Get off my keyboard. That's fine. You may sit there. Oh, the blob appears to kill robots. That's interesting. Yeah, I guess you can basically have your points stolen from you. As with most of the M Network releases, I think the Intellivision version of this was slightly more complex. I believe there was in that version, I think there was like a little area in the top corner where there were like spider webs, and that's where the spiders would spawn from. And you could actually use that to your advantage because bullets wouldn't travel through it or something like that. So yeah, this is a simplified version over the Intellivision original. But it's still an interesting little tactical game in its own right. Definitely very much got a feel all of its own. 20,000 points. And a cat on my lap. Oh! It's all over. Alright, I think that's probably enough of that for now. But yeah, I enjoyed that. That was a pleasant surprise. I've not really looked into that one at all. I think I've played the Intellivision version, as I've got the Intellivision Lives collection on PlayStation 2, which I will probably do a series on at some point, maybe when we're done here with Atari Flashback Classics. But yeah, no, that's a decent little game. Well worth a look. As always, thank you very much for watching, and I'll see you again next time. Thanks for watching. If you enjoyed this video, please help out the channel by leaving a like or a comment and subscribing. New episodes of Atari A to Z are on Tuesdays and Atari ST A to Z on Thursdays. Check out atariatoz.wordpress.com for a full archive. Do please also check out my other projects moegamer.net, where I explore Japanese and Japanese-inspired games from yesterday and today, and videopackgames.wordpress.com, which aims to catalogue the small but well-formed library of the Philips G7000 Videopack computer, also known as the Magnavox Odyssey 2. You can also support my work on Patreon or buy me a coffee. You can find links to do both down in the video description. Thanks again, and I'll see you next time.